Oh yes, folks. The first day of summer's already passed. Summer breeze makes you feel so fine. The NBA Finals is over. Historic NBA Finals from what I heard. Swimsuit models running on the beach to the Baywatch theme song. And oh yeah, it's the NBA Draft 2016. Yeah, this is the WC World Championship breaking news. The NBA Draft 2016. Now in this video, I'm going to be going over the top 10 picks of the NBA draft. I should go over the top 14 because technically that's what the draft lottery is all about. But I'm going to give you guys in-depth analysis of the top 10 picks, how they fit in with their team. I'm going to give them a draft grade if I can get the words out. All right, and ultimately I'm going to let you know how they fit, good trades, bad trades, all that good stuff. Draft winners, draft losers towards the end of the video. All right. So the first team that's on the clock is the Philadelphia 76ers. And the 76ers took with the first overall pick in the 2016 draft, Ben Simmons, forward, LSU. Now, I like this pick, but it's hard not to like this pick. This guy, is 6'10". He has all the tools, but when it comes to shooting your shot, the guy can't do it. Don't compare him to LeBron. He's not LeBron. He's more of an Anthony Davis. I'm shocked. I don't know why people are not saying Anthony Davis. Maybe because Anthony Davis is not necessarily, a guy that's a great passer. But when I see Ben Simmons and I've seen his game at LSU, it screams Anthony Davis. And I think that he'll be somewhere in between Anthony Davis and Rudy Gobert. All right. Anybody that knows the game knows what I'm talking about. This guy's a really good rebounder. He has good size. He's a very finesse player. He can finish at the rim just like Anthony Davis, just like a Rudy Gobert. The 76ers need everything. So can I say that this is a bad pickup for these guys? No. There's no way in the world I can say that this is bad. But what I can say is that their front court for Philly is very, very crowded. All right, they've got Nolas Noel. They picked up Okafor last year. They got Embiid, and now you add in Simmons. Now, somebody got to go. All right, so before this draft is over, before the season comes around, somebody's not going to be there. And for sure it's not going to be. For sure Simmons is going to be there. But I want to know what the 76ers' next move is going to be. I like this pick for the 76ers. Is he going to be like a dominating DeMarcus Cousins type? No. Is he going to be something like maybe Anthony Davis, maybe a Greg Monroe, maybe a Andre Drummond? Yeah, that's very realistic for Ben Simmons. But saying that the guy's LeBron, no, he's not LeBron. LeBron can shoot. LeBron is he'd dunk on his grandmama if she was under the lane. I don't know if Ben Simmons has that in him yet. It's gonna be a little bit of a project, even though it's the first overall pick. Now the second overall pick is being made by the LA Lakers, and the LA Lakers took with the second overall pick Brandon Ingram, small forward from Duke. Now I like this pick because Kobe's on the way out. They're gonna need a new superstar. Last year, D'Angelo Russell. Doesn't mean that the guy can't, develop into a really good player, but you know what I'm saying? That's kind of what it is so far for D'Angelo Russell. But this is not about D'Angelo Russell. It's about Brandon Ingram. ESPN, Jalen Rose, they compared the guy to Paul George. I don't see necessarily Paul George. I see Carmelo. I see Carmelo in this game, but he doesn't have the body like Carmelo. He's definitely going to put on some weight. It's the same thing with Ben Simmons. Like, these guys are going to put on some weight. They, you can get away with that, that skinny frail stuff, that some slander stuff in college. But when you get in the pros, man, it's either it's either you dunking on people or you're getting dunked on. All right, and that's one of the main concerns I have about Brandon Ingram. Everything else, man, this guy's a really good scorer. I understand the comparison to Paul George, just a pure scorer. But he reminds me more so of Carmelo. He's like Carmelo without the Carmelo body. That's kind of what I see. A very good ISO guy. You know what I'm saying? He could create his own shots. A good spot up shooter. This is a real good pick for LA. I think that I don't know if he could come in and be rookie of the year there in LA because I don't know if there's enough talent around him in order for him to shine at least a little bit. But I like the pick for LA. They need a big man down low more than anything, and Hibbert's just not doing the job. So I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know if they're going to try to transition him. The guy's pretty tall. I like this pick. I'm not super crazy about it, but I like it. But we'll wait and see. It's a project pick. This is I'm gonna tell you like this. There's not. I'm gonna be real with you. This is not a draft in which superstars. I just don't see it. I don't see any of these guys coming in and then boom, playoff team. I don't see it. So next on the clock is the Boston Celtics. Hold on. Before I get to this pick, Brooklyn. It's being held in Brooklyn. I think that this is Brooklyn's pick. All you Brooklyn Nets fans out there, you should be angry. All right, this is your pick. This is your player, and the Celtics are basically going to flip this to try to get somebody else, I think. But next on the clock, the Boston Celtics with the 3rd overall pick, and they selected Jaylen Brown, small forward, California. Surprise, surprise. Now I thought that the Celtics were going to trade with Philly. There was rumors out there about them trying to get Jimmy Butler. That stuff still might happen. But Jaylen Brown, I think that they're reaching here a little bit with Jaylen Brown. I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna bring up Jalen Rose a lot in this video. Jalen Rose compared him to Tyreke Evans. Jaylen Brown reminds me of Evan Turner, and they already have Evan Turner. So I don't know what Danny Ainge is doing in Boston. I don't get this pick. I don't know why they went here with this pick. They need size. They need big guys down low. They could have went with Bender. They could have got Dragan Bender. He was there for them to take. So this was a head scratcher. Unless they're going to be packaging, Jaylen Brown. Maybe the Bulls told them, hey, if you want Jimmy Butler, you got to take Jaylen Brown. Then we'll swap him out later. Maybe that's it. The guy has a good game. I'm not, like I said, don't get me wrong. The guy has a really good game. He's a good down low force. He's not an outside shooter or anything like that. Just another guy that's more of a project point of his development. Like I said, there's no guy in this draft, man, from where I'm standing, that's going to be a Porzingis that's going to come in and average 14 and 7, and 5 every night. I don't see it. So this is one of those things where I think that Boston's either reaching or they're trying to trade this pick. I don't know. I don't know what's really going on, but something going on. Next on the clock is Phoenix with the 4th overall pick, and they selected Dragan Bender, forward from Croatia. Now, I don't necessarily know how to feel about this pick. You know what I'm saying? Because the Suns kind of need everything. They don't need necessarily guards. They got Brandon Knight. They got Bledsoe, so they don't need guards. Bender's like what, an in-between guy. He could be a forward. He could be a small forward. The guy has a good shot. I actually had to dig up some footage on this guy, man. I had to dig down deep into the crates, man. Trade a couple tapes to see this guy play because it's real limited. Very much a project pick. Can he be the next Porzingis? I don't know. Is he Nowitzki? I don't think so. For the Suns, the Suns got a lot of draft picks in this draft. They could have went with Kris Dunn here, but like I said, they already got Bledsoe. They've already got Knight, so they didn't need that guy. I think that this is the developmental pick for Phoenix. I don't like it. I don't love it, but I think that Phoenix. I think that Phoenix was in a position where they felt as though that he was the best guy on the board, so they just took him. I said that a little bit earlier that I thought that Boston could have went here, but thinking about it again, he's a project guy. He's a guy that you just kind of develop. Maybe they'll put him in there with Tyson Chandler if Tyson Chandler comes back next year, and they can kind of tag team him with Chandler and Lynn. We'll see how that works out. I don't necessarily know how to feel about this pick. Next on the clock is the Minnesota Timberwolves. All right, and with the 5th overall pick, the Timberwolves selected Kris Dunn, guard, Providence. I like this pick for Minnesota because Minnesota don't play no defense. That's the reason why they haven't been in the playoffs for the longest time. But when you say Kris Dunn to me, I think about everything else that the guy does. The guy can, he can pass well. He can shoot well. He's a little bit inconsistent with the shot, but he can still shoot it. He gets his teammates involved pretty well, but his main cog is defense. When you say Kris Dunn, I think about maybe a young Jimmy Butler, because you don't necessarily look at him and say, all right, well, I expect for him to put up 45, but he could put up 45. He's a guy that could just kind of do everything. And, Thibodeau's the new coach there in Minnesota. All right. And they were trying to get that guy. They've been trying to get Jimmy Butler, trying to lure him in, trying to get him, from Chicago, come there. But, it hasn't worked out. This guy is like a younger version of Jimmy Butler. You know what I'm saying? Probably the best pick of the first round. If this guy could shoot, he probably would have went a first overall. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I like this pick from Minnesota. Where does he fit in with Wiggins and Levine and, Rubio? To be continued. I mean, one of those guys got to sit on the bench. One of those guys got to come off the bench, I guess. And that team in Minnesota, man, this is just another good, solid pick, man. This team in Minnesota is going to be a problem. All right, if they can stay healthy, which has been a problem for Minnesota for the last couple of years, if they can stay healthy, Minnesota is going to be a problem in the next couple of years in the Western Conference. I watch out for them. All right, sixth overall pick in the NBA draft is taken by the Pelicans, and the Pelicans selected with the sixth overall pick Buddy Hield, guard, Oklahoma. Now, arguably, Buddy Hield next to Kris Dunn are two of the most complete players in the draft. They're missing maybe one or two things. Like, Buddy's defense is not subpar. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, if you took Buddy's defense, if you took Buddy's offense and you combined it with Kris Dunn's defense, you would have had the first overall pick. I mean, I know that's messed up to say that, but that's just kind of the way that it is. Buddy Hield is an elite scorer. All right. All right. And for a team like the Pelicans, this is probably the best pick so far of the first round. For a team like the Pelicans that already have a guy like Eddie Gordon, Eddie Gordon. You know what I'm saying? They've already got a guy like, Drew Holiday. They've already got a guy like Tyreke Evans. And then you throw Buddy Hield in there along with Anthony Davis. There's no excuse for Anthony Davis not to make the playoffs next year. All right. There's no excuse. And I know I said earlier that there wasn't a player that was just like you just put him in there and then playoff ready. You know what I'm saying? I don't expect Buddy to come out and start. That's the reason why I said that. Because you got all those guys ahead of him, all right, in New Orleans. But, probably before the season is over, Buddy's going to be in the starting lineup. All right. And this is a really good complementary piece to an already young team that has shooters. The Pelicans have shooters, man. These guys just haven't been healthy enough to stay on the court. And one thing that I think that the Pelicans are missing is a solid down low presence to go along with Anthony Davis. If they get that, they're going to be a complete problem. I mean, I just talked about Minnesota being a problem. The Pelicans are going to be a problem if they can get somebody to stand next to Anthony Davis down low, somebody that was representative. Because all those New Orleans fans, they'll clap when I say this. O'Shea wasn't the best guy for the job, but when he was in there and he was healthy and he was productive, grabbing rebounds, those guys made the playoffs. Now, didn't they? Aha. So yeah, next team that's on the clock, the Denver Nuggets, the 7th overall pick. All right. And they selected with their pick Jamal Murray, guard, Kentucky. Now, Jaylen compared this guy to Michael Redd. I compare him more so to a Jameer Nelson. All right. Because when Jameer Nelson came out of St. John's, that guy was a complete scorer. He was a threat. He was an all-around point guard. And that's what I think that Jamal Murray will be, you know what I'm saying, in Denver. Now, this pick right here is kind of, to kind of offset them getting Moutier last year, because Moutier was not necessarily a scorer. You know what I'm saying? He was more so of a defensive point guard. But this guy can score. I think that, looking at his game, he kind of reminds me a little bit of JJ Redick too, coming off those screens, being able to hit those shots. Looks pretty darn good. Um, I'd be shocked if he wasn't in the starting lineup for Denver because I think that they need them. That they need him. They need that scoring. They need that early scoring. Really good score. This is just another Kentucky guy, man. I have no idea what Calipari's doing, but it just seems like every year he has a nice little crop of guys that enter to the NBA draft that are NBA ready. I don't know if he's let me start him NBA ready, but it's a really good pick for a team in Denver that needs just about everything at this point. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's real sad to see, Denver struggling the way they are, but they've got a guy that can score. All right. So with the next pick, the Sacramento Kings on the clock with the 8th overall pick. Now Sacramento was supposed to make this pick, and they did. They're making this pick for the Suns because they're going to be trading this pick. So Sacramento makes this pick for the Suns, and they draft Marquese Chriss, guard. No, you can say he's like a guard slash forward from Washington. Now, I haven't seen too much of this guy because, of course, he plays for Washington. But the tapes that I've seen of this guy, very high, high motor, um, very defensive minded, can knock down jumpers, spot up shooter, does everything just about well. He's more so of a project pick. You know what I'm saying? More so than the other guys that I named before him that came up before him in this draft. He's going to be a very developmental pick. For the Suns, I like it for the Suns. I mean, it's one of those things that I think that Phoenix wants to do. All right, with their head coach Earl Watson, is that they do want to run up and down the court. So they got Bender, they got this guy Kris. I like the way it's going. There's still parts that are going to be moving, so Phoenix could package this up and trade this guy off somewhere else too. I mean, I just don't know. But as far as like how the draft pick measures up, for Phoenix, it's okay. I don't know what Sacramento is getting out of this because I'm doing this. I'm literally recording this out as it happens. So we're just gonna take a wait and see approach when it comes to that. Toronto's on the clock. Somehow, some way, Toronto's in the draft lottery after being in the Eastern Conference Finals. And with the 9th overall pick, the Toronto Raptors selected Jakob Poeltl. Hope I said his name right. Center from out of Utah. Now, I've actually watched Utah play, and this guy literally could have. I really didn't see too many big men in the NCAA this year. And if you wanna put Brandon Simmons up there and Ingram up there, you can count them in there too. But we're talking about pure centers. Play really, really well this year. This guy really did. I mean, he has the NBA body. Is he anything super special? I mean, the jury's still out. I think that there's a lot of consistency here. There's a lot of stuff for him to work out on. He's not like a big, shooting guy or anything. Not a crazy rebounder, but he does a few things very, very well. Um, you know, I like the pick for Toronto. This is kind of like a gift for all the trades and stuff that they did. And power forward, say what you want, Patrick Patterson, Luis Scola. That honestly, they're probably the reason why they didn't, advance past the Eastern Conference Finals because they didn't really get anything from out of the power forward position. So we're going to see what Jakob could do. We're going to see what he could do. And with the 10th overall pick, the Milwaukee Bucks selected Thon Maker. Last played, I think, in Ottawa, maybe overseas. Wow. I didn't really see this one coming, but this is Milwaukee, man. This is the same team. This is the same team that took the alphabet, man. Antetokounmpo, with a pick that was right around 8th or 9th a couple years ago, and that turned out pretty well. Now I had to do some homework on this guy before I could speak on him. Now, all right, I've seen this guy's game. This is a name that I don't think that a lot of people are going to be bringing up. He kind of reminds me of KG a little bit. Not just from the physique standpoint, from the tall, skinny thing, slim slender physique, but his game. This guy can shoot. This guy is a good finisher at the rim. He has a high motor. He reminds me of a young KG. Now I'm not saying that he's a young KG. I'm saying that those Bucks and Jason Kidd, them dudes are very sneaky, very very sneaky, very much of a project pick. Like I said, I'm not saying he's KG. He just looks and reminds. When I seen him play, I was like, is that KG? Is that young KG? I don't know. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. You tell me. And then on top of that, this guy has a very very good story. So I'm rooting for this guy. I like this pick by the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, here's the problem. All right, this video is gone like at least 22 minutes long. Didn't intend for it to go that long. But there's a bunch of other guys in the first round lottery picks that are going to be coming up in the next couple of picks. So let me list off a few, man. Tyler Eunice, guy from out of Kentucky, and especially Denzel Valentine should be coming up. Henry Ellenson should be going to the next couple of picks. So, those are a couple more, draft lottery guys that I think should be going in the next couple of picks. As far as like draft grades go, from the top 10, I can't help but just love what the Pelicans did by going out and probably getting one of the most elite scorers. I like what the Timberwolves did with their pick. Philly can't go wrong with their pick. Brandon Ingram, I'm kind of on the ropes about this guy. I don't know if he has the NBA body, not yet. The stuff has to develop for this guy. A couple of head scratchers was, oh man, whatever the Celtics did, man. I don't know. They really did reach. I don't know if they were trying to trade out of that position. The Celtics, man, it just didn't make any sense. They could have took so many different guys there, and they took a guy that was more so of a definite project pick when they had Dunn on the table. They had Hield on the table. They could have took one of those guys and maybe lured another team into maybe a trade or something. The night's not over. This is still the top 10 picks that I'm going over, but just a couple of winners and losers for you guys. Let me know how you guys feel about the NBA Draft Lottery Review 2016. This is the top 10 picks. Technically, there's 4 more picks in the top, in the top 14 of the NBA Draft Lottery. I didn't want to go that far. I named off a couple more guys, but everybody else just kind of went in the lottery. Everybody that was projected to go in the lottery went. So let me know how you guys feel. So WC, man, if you listen to this video 20 minutes long, you should just go ahead and drop a like and everything. Coming up in a few months, I'm going to be giving my NBA preview video. I might go division by division. I don't know yet. But let me know how you guys feel about the NBA Draft Lottery. Did your team pick somebody that you ain't like? Let me know down below. And until next time, folks, peace out.